What's up, guys? Oh, that was weird. How's it going, guys? Today is Monday, April 6th. Had a good weekend. Had a long 4-day weekend, 5-day weekend. Yeah. Anyway, had off from Thursday to Monday, which was nice. It was Juliana's graduation. She graduated from Texas Tech. So she got a nursing degree, or she got a nursing, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. She graduated. It was cool. So going back to it, Thursday, I didn't have a live call, but I did post on the community. Share that stage, right? I did post in the community. It was a recording of the call that I had with Brittany Kosa's group. The reason why I was really wanting you guys to watch it is because I do go into there. You can skip past the squatter video, obviously. But I do go into leasebacks, right? Talking about leasebacks and how to use them when you're buying properties, the importance of them. You know, they are great tools, offering them, providing them. They solve a lot of problems, but knowing how to structure them in ways that you're actually safe, right? You're not going to buy something and end up with a squatter, right? That's the whole fear. But leasebacks are a great way. Also, cash for keys, how to get cash, how to use cash for keys safely. I believe I talked about, instead of giving the cash directly to the person, right, the tenant / squatter, right, giving the money, paying for a future 2 months rent and a security deposit, right, paying cash somewhere else, right, hiring people and getting them moved, solving their problems in order to get them out. That was one thing that I really thought was a great takeaway from this video. And then on Friday, as we were driving back from Lubbock, Tony and I stopped at, hey, B, thank you so much. Tony and I stopped at a house in Lubbock that is actually getting foreclosed on by a hard money lender. So I don't know if anybody watched this yet, but this is the perfect way to walk through a house, how you need to analyze a property. Every time you walk in, if you're going to go to a showing, right, whether or not it's 7 other people showing up and you're there by yourself, or if you're going to go walk a lead for the first time, whatever it is, when you get to a property, every property, this is how you have to look at it and analyze it. Okay, you don't have to speak out loud to yourself like a psycho, but you have to be saying these things to yourself, right? As you take a video, take a walkthrough video and do it, right? Because later on you're gonna want to come back and reference it, and I promise you everything's going to be different than what you originally.
Directly adjacent to the property. This is the subject property.
Can you guys hear that?
The neighbor.
Let me know if you can't.
Friendly neighborhood police officer. And then.
So right there, the first 20, 30 seconds of the video, he didn't even take a step yet. It was just circling this way, from that location, right? Thanks. From that location, your entire surrounding, right? The entire neighborhood. We did this all last week when we were comping, right? Drop a man in the road and look, Google Maps, look around the property, know what you're buying subject next to, behind. You're going to hear it later on, Tony, talk about behind, right? The commercial property next door.
I'll walk you through it. Already, what brought weird add-on? I mean, it is a big corner lot, but it's.
So the story on this one is the guy bought it. He thought he can just hotel it. He thought he can take it down, not do any work to it, and then sell it on the MLS for a profit. And it did not, obviously. So now we're going in. The lender's going to take it back. and he asked us for an opinion.
Through a doorway.
If a wholesaler blasts this out, just because the condition, right? You see the doors, they're not that bad. The wood, all right. Well, all you got to do is rip out this floor, replace it, paint it, clean it up, right? You just lipstick it. They're going to try to blast this out at $25,000, $30,000 renovation. This rehab is probably closer to $100,000 renovation, easy, because once you start touching anything, these windows, right? Let's just say the windows that are broken, and if you go to replace it, all of that brick you watched when we walked up, all of that brick on the outside is going to get cracked and need to get repaired as well. Everything. Once you start peeling back the onions on this, everything is going to need to be touched.
That's okay. You could solve that. The kitchen is this here. Believe it or not, I've seen worse. Foundation walk's pretty flat.
As always, if anybody has a problem or any, as a deal or an issue they want to highlight, you want to jump on, just drop it in the chat and we'll jump right on it, guys.
Not in bad shape, to be honest. Cinnamon stick? Oh, little fella. Go back through. I did that bedroom already. That's the bathroom. Not touching anything just because that's my thing. No idea what could have been there. Well, we know that there's no sheetrock because the entire house is the shiplap siding and paneling. And then this is the other bedroom downstairs with some, I wonder if it's just forever roof leak and then caused the buckling, but the foundation, yeah, kind of sank there. So this is high. I'm actually at the high point of this room. The entire house is going to need to be rewired. 2 closets in this room. If you ever watch a high-end GC, or if you ever work with any of these type of high-end contractors, they'll have their initial scope, they'll talk to you and yada yada yada, and then they'll walk through the video and record everything and talk to it, just to get a once over. What he's doing here, right? He's showcasing. He's talking about the foundation. Why is it low? Where is it low? You're in the master bedroom in the northwest corner, right? The roof was leaking. It's taking out the flooring. Well, it's probably also affecting that I don't want to say pier, but whatever the hell is underneath it, right? The foundation right below it. So it's maybe sinking a little. More space. This makes the master down. I'm not gonna lie. These windows are going to be weird. They're churchy kind of style windows. And then the house has stone, so it's going to be really hard to replace them, and then we're going to have to restone them. Yep. So these are all things that you think when you walk into it, oh, it's nice, cute, it's aesthetic. But it's going to add a cost, additional, you have to find it. If it's custom, you have to source it. You have to get the right people to install it. Otherwise, it's just going to be jacked up and not going to be worth it. So. Oh, God, it's hot up here. Oof. This is just one giant room. It's very warm. And then it goes over to so now we're going back over the main part of the house. There's a weird little elevation change. Was this a bathroom? Yeah, there's a sink in there. Elevation changes, stuff like that. Why do those matter? It's because when you're going to do the top, the final finish out,
then you go to this.
You're going to have to correct those things, right?
And so the upstairs is a full. It's a full bath. There's a shower in here. And there's
It's a damn RV tub.
well, it's like so they actually, this is considered a 3/4 bath. Yeah. First off, I had to step up to get in here.
It's my favorite.
But yeah, this is a
segment of mine.
3/4 bath. It's a mini tub. And it's only got the tub valves, right? And it's only, so it's a tub only, right? Yeah. It is very warm up here. Very unique. These doors are pretty cool. If this was something in Dallas, these doors are definitely things I would want to keep and retrofit because it's my style. All that. This.
So this is a big one. All right, sorry, I skipped ahead a little, but this is a big one, right? And every time you go to a house, look at the panel, take photos of the panel. Tony didn't even see, he missed the panel that was in the master bedroom area, but it all has to get rewired anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It does have enough for a furnace and AC, but none of this is to code. All that exposed wiring is going to need to be in pipe or Romex or in the wall. And then random dryer plug. And then this random outlet. So,
oh my God.
The biggest problem is
it really offends me when people think that I'm the gay brother.
Its location. Hey, trying to show you the back door. All right.
That's what she
Now
said.
we can go out.
Same thing.
So it's like a commercial.
Take a step. Try to get the whole view.
Very useless. Air condenser, sorry. The brick or stonework is not terrible. I mean, it's ugly, but yeah. You're going to need a permit, obviously, for all your work because there's no meter. These are
So that right there, if you're going to wholesale this property, now you know the end buyer is going to have to deal with all these issues, right? So take that into account. They're going to have additional costs, just getting licensed plumbers versus, regular plumbers. Greatly increases your expenses, right?
This is the exterior condition of the wood windows. You do have the proper 220 line coming in, but no meter, like I said. There's a survey stake, so that got done. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're looking at.
All right, I don't have to watch this entire thing, but it is a great example of what you should do every time you walk a property. That is on there. Go back and watch it. We're going to start doing more of these because I yelled at them because it was vertical and not horizontal. It would have looked a lot better and just been overall appeasing to everybody. Market update, Monday market update. We had a couple different things happen. The Fed started chatting. They discussed things. Close that out. Not a lot of movement. Big news coming out was the NAR settlement said they're going to go into effect mid-August. The changes that are going into effect is going to pretty much only affect licenses, so retail deals, the ones that are going on the MLS. details in particular is you can't advertise how much the buyer's commission is, the buyer's agent commission is. Also, there can't be any third party or any promotion of compensation, right? So what they're pretty much upset about is, man, I don't fucking know where this came from, but they're pretty much upset that they're thinking that buyers getting 3 or 4% is bad, which I understand if you can't afford it, but fuck it, I don't know. It's a dumb settlement. It only affects retails, not really affecting us. But like we have said in the past, it should dry up the, there should be a lot less part-time realtors in the space, which is going to make other realtors stand out drastically. Okay, so I think it will be good in the long run. Logan Mahatashami, okay, he is one of the lead analysts for Housing Wire. Sorry. They go into talking about the labor market, and I want to
bad people making more money, bad
just
Americans,
go about listen to it.
Right, so the quick percentages.
Not humans moving paper files. Vesta has built this LOS, and you can learn more at Vesta.com. Welcome, everyone. My guest today is lead analyst Logan Mohtashami to talk about the jobs data and what it means for mortgage rates. Logan, welcome back to the podcast.
Sarah Wheeler, we're back from Nashville, and did we kill it or what?
It was a great event, Meridian Link. Yeah, you gave a great economic talk. Had the crowd eating out of your hand as per usual. It was really good and very timely. Listen,
when you get asked to be the keynote speaker next year, 2 minutes coming off the stage,
that's a good sign.
Then you know you've done it well. And I'm telling you, man, live events. Sarah Wheeler and myself, the Nerd Tour going around the country. Caroline couldn't be there this time, but we have a lot of fun, and especially if you've never heard me speak, or my economic presentations are designed to be very informative, but very entertaining. So my fellow economists who tend to be a little bit stale, we don't want to go that route. We want to make economics as fun as possible, so all of us can tell Uncle Dave that it's not Housing 2008 Thanksgiving. That's the goal.
Yes, we had somebody come up after your talk as we were walking out, and he was like, "That was better than television." I'm like, well, there you go. We'll take it. More entertaining than TV. Logan Mohtashami. Okay.
You know what just pisses me off is no, never mind.
Obviously,
I'm gonna let that slide.
Okay, so
Jobs.
Last month, when I wrote that labor market article, right? Again, for me, it's always about economic models. We highlighted all the labor data models going up from April 7th, 2020 to last month. Last month, we said the wage growth data is now getting into an area where it gets more interesting, right? And the Fed talked about, we don't really want to attack wages. We made the premise, 3% wage growth, 1% productivity. The Fed doesn't really believe the strong productivity numbers. Some people make the case, well, it's immigration that's really boosting productivity. I mean, Australia and Canada are having, immigration, and those countries aren't having productivity data that looks like ours. So the Fed doesn't really put too much weight into it. But if that's the case, then they want wage growth back down to 3% pre-COVID, and they can live with the realities of productivity being around 1%. So today, wage growth, even with some people thinking that the minimum wage in California, that would boost up wages, maybe that filters in a little bit more next month. Below 4%, we have a 3.9% handle. If we start getting below 3.5%, we could start doing the countdown of the Fed's complete model of the labor market getting back to pre-COVID is then completed, right? Because jobs week, and jobs week means job openings and quit ratios, and job openings, it got as high as 12 million down to 8.5 million. So we've always talked about this for the last 2 years, that Fed really wants that at 7 million. Quits ratios, which is really key, fell again. The quit ratios, 2.1%. Quits ratios being high at 3%. Bad. People making more money. Bad Americans. You can't have that, right? So the quit percentage is falling. Wage growth is falling, right? Quits percentage pre-COVID levels, hires pre-COVID levels. The labor market is no longer tight. I know President Bowman of the Fed says the labor market's tight and people are coming into this country and wages might accelerate. No, wage growth is slowing down with the quit ratios, job openings, everything trends together, right? It just moves all.
I want to press pause on that real quick. He's talking about wage growth and jobs and all that. This is the article that they're citing. Okay, so job gains were most notable. I can't even fucking read. Job gains were most notable in healthcare, social assistance, and transportation and warehousing. 22,000, 55,000, and 31,000. Okay, so those are the big three, let's just say. I wanted to just point that out. Meanwhile, mining, quarrying, oil and gas extraction, manufacturing, wholesale trade, information, financial properties, professional and business services, leisure and hospitality, and other services posted little change in April. So, holy shit. So that means pretty much these three were the main contributing factors. That's a big list of others that were duds, but so be it. Healthcare, we've been discussing a lot. Healthcare has been always been one of the safer upticks. Average hourly earnings for private sector employees grew by 0.2% month over month. So what we're seeing, and I kind of started getting mad when he said, no, we're not going to see 2008, yada, yada, yada. But the problem is everybody keeps on comparing the housing market and everything to 2008. 2008 was completely different. It was built up because of bad loans and there was a bubble and there is no inventory here. And that's what we're starting to fill. We have that inventory to fill. But what really scares the piss out of me is the current administration is running the entire market into the ground so harshly that wages aren't improving, right? Wages aren't growing. There's no inflation is not being put into check as much as everything's going on in the world that they're trying to put inflation in check. Government spending hasn't stopped at all, and it's just fucking bleeding everybody dry.
Very quickly.
Let's get back to him.
We are getting to the point to where we could be under 3.5% wage growth this year, right? I was kind of looking at taglining it maybe the early part of 2025, but these are positives because the Fed becomes more of a dual mandate Fed. And that's the key, because if there are one mandate Fed, right, and CPI inflation was at 9% in June of 2022, the headline is at 3.5%. PCE inflation that Jerome Powell talked about was a little bit above 7% at its peak. We have two handles on that. The PPI inflation was double digits. We have two handles on that. So there's progress made. The more they can be in the dual mandate, the better it is for housing going out in the future. Because we've had, such an increase in mortgage rates and elevated mortgage rates for a while without any kind of retracement and holding it, right? We've had 2 times now that rates have fallen, demand picks up, people get excited and then shoots right back up then. So once we get a little bit more softness on the labor data in terms of wage growth, we're finding that kind of getting that to the end of the tunnel. Hopefully we can get a pivot before the labor market breaks in terms of jobless claims rising. But it was a really fascinating week with the Fed and the labor data and everything, because if you read my job articles, right, connect the dots. I'm connecting all the dots for the last few years, right? Years 2020 to 2024 were always going to be my baby, so I have to make sure to get everything in there. It starts to make sense.
it does start to make sense. So was it last week, 2 weeks ago, you talked about landing the plane? I think you said, hard landing, soft landing, no landing, right? What is this? How does this play into that whole discussion?
So this technically, if this continues, right, it can be a soft landing. The hard and soft landings really depends on what people kind of interpret that as. Mine is if the unemployment rate gets above 4.5%, it's a hard landing, right? The Fed forecasted a hard landing last year in 2023 because they had the unemployment rate getting there and higher. Here, because we're seeing the tight labor market become less tight, the next stages would be job losses. Now, there's a lot of people out there, and I know a lot of people in the mortgage industry are listening to people that said the labor market isn't that strong, and because we all want to see rates go down for business to pick up. You have to be careful on who you listen to on the internet, especially if they're stock traders. Okay, so there are some conspiracy theories about jobless claims data and everything. Listen, when it's a job loss recession, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be so easy to see. It's been the same thing since the Peloponnesian War. Jobless claims rise. The job reports are not positive. They're negative. They're going to be negative a couple 100,000 easily because we have over 158 million people working now. We have a country of 342 million. So we're not there yet. What we are is the labor market is less tight. It's getting softer, right? Less tight and getting softer is not breaking. Breaking is jobless claims rising, and we have negative reports. Now, even with the 6-month average, I take the 6-month revised average, the labor data is still beating my estimates. And I set those targets out. I said, eventually when we get to 157 to 159 million jobs, job growth should slow to about 140 to 165K, right? This is where we should be. If there was no COVID-19, right, the makeup demand, all this, we should be here. We're not there just yet, right? 6 months, the headline report came in at 175,000, but if I average out the last 6 months, it's about 243,000. So we're getting to that area. And once we get there, that means we're back to normal. And then when you're back to normal with a less tight labor market, then in theory, the unemployment rate is actually really higher than what it is right now because it's harder to find jobs, right? So that is a viable case. But breaking means jobless claims rising and we lose jobs. Trust me, the bond market will go lower before the Fed, right? So we've already put one rate cut into the system, and it's already 1 month or earlier. We're going in September now instead of December. So economics is not static. You have to follow the data. And now people were talking about rate hikes to now, okay, when's the rate cut coming? So it moves like crazy. So don't get stuck into one mode and just follow the data, but follow the trend, right? The trend is your friend there. The trend is heading one way. Right, and we just want the Fed to play, right? And there's so many what I call stock traders or people that want to see rates higher so they could break something and get a recession, so they could blame the Fed for that. I'm hoping that a little bit of discipline. That's why we don't listen to stock traders. Don't listen to them. Here we are talking about if we can just progressively move forward, then we'll be okay. But again, I don't believe this Fed is that. The Fed would feel more comfortable if the labor market starts to break. And then they go, oh, we have to do this, dual mandate, we have to cut rates. And like Powell said, if the labor market breaks or gets weaker, we have to cut rates faster. So I'm hoping we don't get to that point, but this is where we are. We're heading in the right direction. It's just slower than a lot of people thought because a lot of people were thinking recession in 2022, 2023, 2024. We're not there yet.
This episode is brought to you by Essentia. A better you starts with better hydration. Essentia is on a...
Shut the fuck up. Shit pisses me off because they're saying things like we weren't in a recession in 2022. We're not going to see a recession. We've been in a recession for the past 2022, right? He's talking about looking at the data and everything, and the data's right here. Just fucking look at it. You can see every time that we've been in a recession. Just how much you want to bury your head in the sand. So what I was trying to pull up some graphs. Good Lord. Trying to make it bigger, but unemployment ratio. COVID. Oh, there it is. Why is that in seasonally adjusted? What is this? Yeah, it was the same one. I don't have much to dispute his claims or whatever.
Mission.
If anybody has anything they want to chat about, let me know.
People to do what matters more. That's
Other than that, I'm just
99.9%.
going through news and looking at
up a little bit from 3.8%, but it's
Their proprietary ionization any source into ionized alkaline water, providing water that's 99.9% pure with a pH of 9.5 or higher. Essentia overachieving H2O, the #1 ionized alkaline water. Shop now.
Okay, so unemployment is at 3.9%, up a little bit from 3.8%. But as long as it's under 4, they're not going to, they consider that fine.
Now, here's an interesting thing. Powell talked about this, that if the unemployment rate goes up a few basis points, it doesn't really change their model. Well, guess what? It went up a few basis points already. So that's correct. I think 3.4% was the low level. So naturally, I just think they follow claims data. They even said this, Jerome Powell said, but 2 meetings ago, well, we follow jobless claims data and it was going lower. Okay, whatever everyone thinks about the jobless claims data, that's fine. That's what they follow. Job openings is what they follow. So the job openings data is actually no longer tight. Any Fed member who's telling you the labor market's tight now, man, they're smoking something good. Powell's gone to the, Grateful Dead concerts a little bit too much, right? So we don't have a tight labor market in that context, but we don't have a breaking market. We want to kind of get things so things don't break. I've just never been a Fed pivot person because the history has showed that this kind of soft landing is very tricky. And the longer they stay restricted, remember, their own models are restrictive. Doesn't matter what I think or anybody else thinks. Their Fed funds rate is elevated from where for PCE. That's why they keep on saying they're restricted policy. So we take the data 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, but we follow the bigger trend. Trend is, okay, kind of getting to a better area for them. And that's what I'm encouraged about. That's why last month's jobs article talked about wage growth. Let's all start talking about wage growth data because we're now getting back to where we could be 3% wage growth, 1% productivity. The Fed just be like, okay, this is doable.
Your model calls for what, 323,000 jobless claims?
Jobless claims getting to 323,000 and breaking above that is a recession, right? So that's why we don't talk about that. The 6 recession red flags, even though they were all raised, the 5th flag came down after November 9th, 2022. When we're all flop, we will watch to when claims break. So a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of tech people getting laid off. Okay, that's true. And guess what?
Bro, I didn't know this was coming up.
They're chilling and they'll be okay. Construction labor is always the key.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to pause. I did not know he was going to bring up tech layoffs. I've been searching other layoffs and stuff like that, trying to bring it up on the screen when I find it useful. There is going to be a giant wave of layoffs coming, I believe, that nobody's talking about that much. Why? Because, again, you're not seeing wage growth match what cost of living has done. You're not seeing anything to hinder government spending, and which in a sense is driving up inflation. Although inflation has decreased, that's just meaning that it's down from its high number, right? It's still up. Go and try to buy goddamn anything at the grocery store, right? So if people are at this breaking point, it's gonna be a fun November. Let's see what he goes.
Now, when we look at general housing data in terms of employment, the area where you actually see real big losses is in the mortgage industry. Remember, since it's a transfer of commissions in the existing home sales, they're not technically W-2 wage earners. Now, of course, there are people that work for real estate companies that get paid salary. If they lost a job, that's one thing. But here, it's a transfer of commission. More than half the realtors in America don't even do any transaction. So that's not a huge. It's a hit to the incomes of those that are still in there. But construction workers we're still hiring, right? It's the permits of the apartments that now are at recession levels. And the key is once those things get built out, they're not building anymore, right? So in a sense, if people ask me, well, why do people say higher rates are inflationary? It's not inflationary now. It's the future production of housing or supply that gets hit. Business investment, right? Thankfully, there's spending going on to build chip plants and stuff like that. If that wasn't the case, right, then you don't even have that aspect of construction workers into the play. So there's a lot of variables that are different in this cycle that we didn't have before. But hopefully, when I write those labor articles, I try to connect the dots going back to April 7th, 2022, where we are, right? And that's how a model should work. So be a little bit skeptical of people just throwing stuff up in the air and this looks suspicious. This looks, I'm like, dude, you were calling recession in 2022. What looks suspicious to you, right? So just kind of be mindful and let the data talk to you. What do we do in these live events, Sarah? What do we do? I take the FICO score data. I go, people, 8 o'clock evening. I got jazz music on. I got a bottle of wine. I look at that beautiful FICO chart data we have in America and go, God, that is sexy. That is a sexy looking chart, right? You know, there's a lot of labor data that still is looking good. It's not terrible, right? You know, it's not as good as the FICO charts in America, but we're not breaking. Once it breaks, claims rise, we start losing jobs. So naturally, we're going to slow down on the job growth rate. It's going to eventually get to my level. We're not there yet, but we're heading there. And then the next stage is, you know, unemployment rates will rise because of that. More people getting labor force, less jobs being created. Then we could talk about, you know, how the Fed handles that stage. But we're heading in an area where we could possibly have a soft landing. It's all up to them at this point.
You know, economic data can feel like you're on, you get whiplash, right? Because earlier this week we had some data that was seemed like strong, right? And they were like, you know, and
I'm still so scared of it's going to pull something up.
You say we're heading in that direction. If you're out
The
there,
wrong
so
thing.
it's your dad. He's out there.
FICO
He's running a mortgage
score
company.
graph.
How do you make decisions?
I want to find
6
through the
months, 9
years.
months, when things are changing so fast?
So we've always highlighted paper, scissors, labor over inflation. I think if you made business decisions on inflation falling and mortgage rates falling and the Fed pivoting, then that didn't work out. We're here trying to talk about follow the labor data, right? Because the bond market will send mortgage rates lower. It's done it twice already. The bond market has priced in rate cuts a few times now, 3 times. The 2-year yield has fallen 3 times, thinking the economy was going into recession or we're going to get weakness or a pivot. They've all retraced back. But the labor data is slowly moving into an area where I think the Fed could feel much more comfortable, right? Labor over inflation. I know the 10-year yield has fallen quite a bit from the recent highs this week. Remember, itchy fingers, right? We talk about itchy fingers at very key levels, you know, volatile movements. So we'll see, but we take the data, you know, one day, 1 week at a time, and we try to make it this big, beautiful, tasty enchilada with all the data and go forward with it because nothing stays static. Things can get stronger, things can get weaker, things get weaker really fast, they can get better really fast. So we'll see. It's very complicated this time after COVID, right? We're dealing with a lot more higher velocity data. It wasn't like the previous decade. The previous decade, very slow growth, very slow wage growth, very boring, not much really going on. Few years we had some drama, but outside of that, here we don't. Here we have crazy stuff all the time. So my job is just to try to make sense of it all, but always keep focused on the labor data. I encourage everyone, go read the Housing Wire daily, Housing Wire article on my labor reports. We connect everything, right? Connect the dots so everyone can kind of understand. Here, we're trying to play poker with the Fed on when they would pivot. Remember, I'm not a Fed pivot guy till labor breaks. We're starting to get an area where, boy, they might not need labor to break. It's to get fully back to make sure the labor market is stable. So we'll see.
We will see. What else are you looking at right now?
Well, right now, of course, the inventory story. Hopefully, we get another week of positive inventory growth, 11 to 17,000. What we need now. Rates have come down just a little bit, but you know we're kind of we haven't gotten to 8%, but we're definitely above 7.25. Remember, 7.25 is the threshold. Last year, 7.25 did not give me the growth of inventory I was looking for. This year so far, 2 for 2. We'll see if we go 3 for 3, right? In that context, demand, our pending contract data weekly is better this year than it was last year. More sellers than buyers. We have pockets of stress, and just be careful. Do not listen to YouTube crazy people. Okay, if there's one thing I've tried to teach everyone, do not listen to crazy YouTube people. You only listen to people. They face forecast. Year-to-date forecast in 2024, 5 years, the last 5 years. If they cannot give you a forecast, if you listen to them, they're playing you, right? You only listen to ball players who want to play. So be careful out there because people have been sending me some YouTube clips and y'all some crazy people. I'm telling. I mean, gee, man, how much energy can you guys put into making stuff like this, right? And it's like the same in 2020, 2020. It was the same thing in 2014, 15, 16, 17. We literally have someone come on TV and go, "Sexless men and video game play is the housing crash."
And they
Oh,
called her,
dude.
I think, didn't they call her the
Oracle of Wall Street?
of Wall Street, yeah.
No, absolutely not.
All right, I'm gonna end him off. I do like what he is saying. I think he's being a little bit more optimistic than it's warranted. I think we are at that precipice of a tipping point. Okay, just my own personal take. Bop, bop, bada, bop, bop. Hiring slows. The Fred, if you never go to this website, you guys should. Fred is a great website to just track. Anytime I do my quarterly reports, when we do the in-persons, this is where I get all my graphs, all my data from. It is historically accurate, and they keep it up to date. But you just go, like he's saying, right? Just go and look at the numbers. Look at the paths. Where the hell can things go? Up, down, left, right. Is inventory in there? Why is this not updating? All right, I can't pull. Fred's not working for me today. I'll get that fixed. I'm just reading news headlines, going through, trying to see if there's anything decent to talk about. I got nothing though, for the most part. Everything's been pretty stagnant. Everything's been pretty much the same, right? Inventory is slowly slowing down. But we're still seeing drops in rent. We're still seeing longer times for people to get into leases. Tomorrow is Marketing Tuesday, right? Marketing Tuesday. I have a follow-up call, just sharing wealth of knowledge. Follow-up call with Brett. We're going to hop on a call and analyze 44 acres that we currently have under contract. And we're going to see if that's a good fit for an assisted living residential mansion, right? Maybe do 5 or 6 of those mansions on 44 acres. Subdivide it. It's within an hour of DFW, so see what happens. Kind of excited about that tomorrow. Marketing Tuesday. We can discuss anything. We did the whole list building through Deal Machine. Why don't we talk about direct mail? We've been talking about cold calling and all those. They only really work if you pair them up with other things, right? Calling somebody one time isn't going to work. All in the follow-up, but it's not about just that, right? It's actually doing things systematically. If you have a list, mailing it every 30, 90, days, 180 days, depending on the type of list. How you're going to put that list together, we've already gone over, but maybe we'll break down tomorrow. I'll go over how to actually take that list and import it and create your actual mailing, right? Your printing and all that. We can do over that. And I will go over some scripts. That's always good things. May 16th, I believe that's a Thursday. Let me confirm that before I put my foot in my mouth. Oh, perfect. I was waiting on that to come out. The Texas A&M Real Estate Center sends out their quarterly reports and all that all the time. If you're not a part of their mailing list, you need to be. So they just sent out Outlook for Texas Academy. They are the go-to source for anything that is Texas related when it comes to real estate. Trust me, they do their homework well. Unemployment rate stayed consistent, 3.9%. Crude oil exports down 8.6% month over month. Consumer price index went up 3.2% year over year. What's that say? Confidence? It's a little far. Sorry. Texas consumer confidence is down 5.3% month over month. Is that what that MOM? Let's start reading. Texas economy remains resilient despite high interest rates. Employment skyrocketed, and there is still a high participation rate. Home sales increased with the 10 and 30-year rates remained elevated. Sorry for reading this like a, Data show that that just reads badly. Data shows that the economic activity has remained steady to start the year, indicating that this rate pause may continue well into the back half of the year. Economic uncertainty as CPI continues to rise. No shit. Rose 4.4% from last month and is up 3.2% from February 2023. So this is awesome, right? Texas non-farm employment added 49,800 workers. All four major metroplex posted monthly increases. Austin, the largest, 11,400. Yeah, I was just making sure I was reading that correctly. Dallas had 7,800 and Houston had 6,900. San Antonio reported insignificant increases. It's a shitbox. Hate that city. Love it. It's got a boardwalk or whatever, river walk. Yeah. The San Antonio Riverwalk reminds me of It's a Small World, just more humid and shittier. Inventory growth. Dallas showed an increase of almost 700 homes, an 8.7% increase. I'm just reading this. I can read this out loud, but it'd be painstakingly horrible for you guys to listen to me bumble through this. Where the hell is this number from? I gotta find that. That's a number I'm gonna put on the registry watch list. So they're using this indicator, right, signaling a steady economic growth in the upcoming months. Remained at 120. The Texas leading economic index remained at 128.1. In 1987, it was at 100, signaling steady economic growth in the upcoming. I just Googled it. I pulled it up to actually look at the graph. Yeah, 1987, it was at 100, but I mean, it's also only been up. I mean, it dipped down to 100 in 2020. That's not to say that in 2020 we were on par with 1987. I don't know why they're dipping all the way back to 1987 as the reference point is what I'm trying to get at, right? I guess their way of saying, hey, ignore these two dips. They don't mean anything, which is okay. I'll say that. I am still bullish on Texas. You all know that. You got an Italian from New York that's saying the word y'all. National average hourly earnings marginally declined by 0.8% month over month to $32.60. Earnings across all four major metros were down, with Houston down 83 cents, Dallas down 57 cents, decreasing by over half of a dollar for the month. Texas consumer confidence fell by 5.2% in February, whereas it has been on the rise since September. So you have something on the rise since September all the way through until February, and now it's taken a shift to a 5.2% decrease. 10-year U.S. Treasury bond rose 15 basis points to 4.12%. I had that chart pulled up earlier while they were discussing it. Not much really to talk about there. They've really made those insignificant. The Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation's 30-year fixed rate rose 24 basis points to 6.64%. The West Texas Immediate Crude, I don't know why I just got jammed up. WTI crude oil spot slightly rose by 0.6% year over year from 76.83 to 76.25 price per barrel, coming down from the inflated 2022 values. The Henry Hub natural gas spot price plummeted 27.7% year over year from 2.38 to 1.72 million per million British thermal units. And then you can download all those. I'm not going to lie, I don't know what this last one is. The Henry Hub natural gas spot price. I'm not going to dive into that one that much. Trying to see if I can find anything else to talk about today before I tap out. No, I'm going through my emails and I'm pretty much everything's up to date. So, May 16th, acquisitions in our open house office event. We're focusing on acquisitions. If you guys are in town, come on out. We're always inviting you guys. Should be a good one. Right after that is the 17th and 18th. If you guys didn't fill out for it or you didn't see it, I'll drop a comment. It is Pat Hilton's mastermind event over in Wiley. He has a form you guys can fill out, apply, and go for free. If you guys want to do any form of social media, he is one of the go-to sources. So that mastermind would be a great opportunity to go to and just network with people, right? I might be talking there. I'm not sure. I still got to chat with him. On the 22nd, something like that, I'm supposed to go speak at Pam Clearly's event. I still have to pick a topic. I don't know what I'm going to discuss. I have no idea. So I'll come up with something though. It's mostly just for marketing. So I got to come up with something for marketing and then we can discuss anything, right? But it should be a good time. If anybody needs anything, you guys know where to reach out. We're always here and available. As always, keep crushing it.